Welcome to Great Talking Entertainment. I'm your host, KJ, and this is the YouTube channel where I review movies and TV shows from all your favorite superheroes, including Marvel Comics, DC Comics, and much more. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Great Talking Entertainment official channel. Let's go, baby. Welcome back to the YouTube channel, everyone. My name is KJ, and today's video is my spoiler review for the new series on FX, Love Story, John F. Kennedy and Carolyn, Bessette. Episode 3 spoiler review. If you have not seen this show, please pause this. And before you go and watch this show, please hit the like button, aka the thumbs up button. That would help my YouTube channel out, and I truly appreciate that. Come back and let me know in the comments below of what you think about episode 3 of John F. Kennedy and Carolyn, Bessette. So, without further ado, this is a spoiler review. Y'all been warned. Now, let's get into it. This episode starts off with John F. Kennedy Jr. and his mother, Jacqueline Kennedy. As they walk around the park, his mother is not doing well, but still a strong spirit. And in this scene, you know, it's sunny out at the park. In like New York or New Jersey, whatever part it is. It looks nice. The scenery looks good. And they're having a mother and son bonding moment. And they're reflecting on the past, remembering good memories, the bad memories. And she, as a mother, she's just giving her son like maybe the last few final encouragement words, advice a parent can give to their child before they pass away type moment. And this was like art imitating life. Like, you know, in this episode, there was one paparazzi that showed up and took a photo, which that's what they're supposed to do. But I guess we'll never know. I'm pretty sure in real life, a ton of paparazzis took photos of John F. Kennedy and his mom at that particular part based on this scene. But I guess we'll never really know like the real bonding moment between the two, because they're both no longer here. But the way the art of this show, of this scene, it was really beautiful, very cozy like. And I can tell like they were really trying to make sure their goal for this episode was to have tears come out your eyes. They wanted you to think of somebody in your past that has passed away and start thinking about them and start tearing up. And this is what the show was shooting for this episode, because that was the tone of it. Throughout of it, it was very soft, very mellow, and you know, this was the calm before the storm, right? And that's in the Kennedy's family world. Now she passed away, Jacqueline Kennedy. She passed away in 1994. Of May due to lymphoma cancer. The next scene, we get this moment where we see Carolyn and Michael, who successfully became a model of the front billboard of Calvin Klein's underwear, and it's a really big deal. And this is where the scene where John F. Kennedy went to get some lunch for him and his mom, and he was going to the same place where Carolyn and Michael were about to have some lunch too. And they ran into it, and we see that John is, again, heading over there to get lunch, and she sees him. And, you know, they start talking, and you can see Michael sees the vibe between them, because it was very flirty, but she was very worried about him because she, obviously, the whole world knows about his mother. And, you know, it wasn't like a gossip way, but she was really concerned. But you can see the sparks were flying, and you can tell Michael seen that, and I think he was trying to ignore it, but hoping that it wouldn't be. But he they went off, and then most of this episode was about Jacqueline Kennedy and how she is mentally preparing to say goodbye, and how she's going through it. And she puts up this painting of former President John F. Kennedy, and it's a really awesome drawing. It was a pretty picture, and she's dancing, listening to some music, and she knows she's gonna be reunited with him. John and Carolyn meet up to talk, as John is just venting out to Carolyn about his mom, Jacqueline, and just how much he knows she's running out of time slowly, and he's not ready to say goodbye to his mother, but he knows he needs to as well. And this is definitely a mother and son story for sure. And unfortunately, she does pass away in this episode, and he does say goodbye, and they have a funeral and stuff, and they're just talking with friends and family, and all of a sudden, Darlene Hannah just shows up, and she wanted to. I don't understand this, and I'm not really sure, but the way this show portrays it, and I'm not saying this is true or not, but they're trying to make it sound like she's using the death of his mom, to get back into good grace with John F. Kennedy Jr. Not like she did anything wrong or anything. They never said she cheated on him in any shape or form. But the way they're portraying this, and I'm not saying this is just the way I got out of this, the way they did this whole scene was, maybe if she can use this emotion, that they can rekindle their relationship in hopes to make the relationship stronger, and maybe he would love her even more than, because I think in episode 2 all she wanted was him to notice her, and he wasn't really noticing her, because obviously this is the love story of John F. Kennedy and Carolyn Bessette. And it just wasn't happening, but you could see he was feeling uncomfortable. And again, we don't really know if he felt that way, or that's how exactly it went down in real life. But the way they were portraying her in this, it seems like she was using this to get to stay with him in a relationship, and maybe get married. That was the one thing, is she wanted to get married to him. But even though his mother, Jacqueline Kennedy, never liked her, in the way that's how the show is portraying it, I don't know if that was a real thing about her not really liking her as a person. I understand, moms can be very protective, but I don't know if that's a real thing, like if that's fact or fiction, basically. But what I would say about that is, whether it's fact or fiction, just based on that scenery, I thought that was pretty. That was pretty obvious. It's very cheesy. It's very, it was kind of obvious. And again, I knew, like I said, they're trying to milk this story between their John F. Kennedy Jr. and Carolyn Bessette, of their past relationship, and saying there's a lot more to it. But honestly, we're just seeing, what I'm getting out of just seeing two people just stressing out over this stuff. And for John F. Kennedy Jr., he's not really sure he wants to do, because I know in real life, from what I researched, that Darlene, Hannah, and John F. Kennedy Jr. have been dating on and off for over 5 years, and so was some real love. He really did love her, and I'm sure Carolyn loved Michael as well, but obviously they never ended up together. Because, like, in this episode, they show how much everything is stressing John out, and it just feels like everything's collapsing. So he visits Carolyn again while it's raining, and this is the most soap opera, young teen moment you can see. It's raining. He's at the door unexpectedly. He goes in. They have a moment, and they start kissing, and then the cheesy romantic scenes just overfloods, and that's how their relationship really begins at the end of this episode. So this is really just showcasing, just on this show, I'm not, again, I gotta make it clear with everybody, I'm not saying this actually really happened, but the way they build this up to where they finally have this moment between these two after the death of Jacqueline Kennedy, that this is when their relationship started. She, I guess Carolyn never really met his mother, and he even said, I wish she could meet her, type thing, when he was just venting out to her. But then when we get to the end, we're seeing a grief. They're trying to say the grief of the death, the grief that he's going through because of the death of his mother, brought him closer to Carolyn. And this, because she was watching it, right, on TV, and she was tearing up because they showed, fun fact, they showed actual footage of John F. Kennedy and Jacqueline Kennedy, and then the actual John F. Kennedy Jr. and Carolyn Kennedy too, the actual people as children in old video photos, as like a tribute video. And I don't know if they really did that tribute video in real life. I'm sure there was one on the news and stuff in real life. But that even showed you too, this show is trying to tell you that she fell in love with him just seeing that tribute video while she was at work. They were watching on the TV. And so this episode was the birth of their love, of them finally coming together as a couple in a way. Like, this is the beginning of them saying we're boyfriend and girlfriend type moment without even actually saying those words. And so that was really good. This really was a sad tearjerker episode. Like, they're really trying to get you to cry. And they probably succeeded. They probably succeeded to many of the viewers. They wanted you to think of somebody of your past who has passed away, who you were close to, because it had all those type of elements. And then when you finally, like I said, that rain, like, that's a typical love story of a series. There's always a guy or a girl. It's night and it's raining outside, and then they visit somebody unexpectedly, and it's a surprise visit, and then they start, kissing, making out, whatever. This was very typical, and it was building up to this moment, but now they're at the part where historically they would officially been hooking up, basically. So really good with that, and I really liked it. I enjoyed it, and my favorite part was him spending time with his mom. I liked that this was going to inspire him and want him to be a better version of himself, not just because of the last name Kennedy, but because his mom believed in him. They're showing that his mom loved him and believed in him and knew that he can be great. And now he's going to be great and he's going to get his life straight because now it's kind of like all on him in a way. And now it's both his parents are no longer here in this timeline. And now it's just him and his sister, Carolyn. And so it's up to them too, you know. So this was a very emotional, sad, and this was a really good. I mean, the writers, the actors and actresses really wanted you to get into your feelings. So kudos to them on that. So if I had to give this a 1 out of 10, I'm gonna give it a 6.5, baby. Really good, very romantic, very cheesy, very soap opera life, soap opera theme to it. And again, my favorite part is the John F. Kennedy Jr. and Jacqueline Kennedy having that walk in the park moment was my favorite. So kudos to that. Loved it. But that is my spoiler review. Thank you so much. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Great Talk and Entertainment Official channel. Subscribe. Hit that notification button so you're always updated with all my latest content. Thank you guys and peace